Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another market breakdown. It is Sunday, November 16th, so halfway through November. We have about 2 weeks left. Then we got the holidays coming up, so that's really exciting. I hope everyone prepares for that financially. All right, so we're going to go ahead and begin by going over the trades that happened last week. CAD CHF was one that we held over the weekend into the new week. And then basically Monday, price pushed up, took us out of our trade. And then we actually reached our main goal, our main take profit, which was daily market structure. That would have been a 1 to 4.5. And then that's where I would have gotten out of that trade. GBP CAD is one that we took on Monday. Our daily time frame had shifted bullish out of the area of interest, and then during the pullback, we actually ended up hitting the EMA, pushing down back into the area of interest, and then we fully shifted above, pulled back, and should now see some buyers coming back into this market. I do believe we should get a continuation out of this area. We're currently above the 4-hour EMA and above the 30-minute EMA. So that should be a relatively simple trade, similar to right here, how we broke above, retested the 30-minute EMA, and maintained price action above that EMA. So that'll be one that we'll probably be interested in taking this week. But yeah, took that loss. And then this one as well. Let's see. So it reached one of the take profits, which would have been a weekly structure. The daily structure has still not, actually, no, it reached both weekly and daily structure. Right there for a 3 point. Wouldn't have gotten a 4 out of it, but if we had held for the take profit, that would have been a 3.7, a 3.8. So overall, the ideas were there, but the execution wasn't. For the CHF pairs. So let's go ahead and see what we can do about that this week. Let's go ahead and start with the other pairs that we have on the list. So Bitcoin has finally broken through the weekly EMA. This weekly candle still has 9 hours in it, so we'll probably close underneath the weekly EMA. And we have not done that in quite a while. I'm not going to lie. The last time we did break underneath the EMA or close underneath the EMA actually was right here. And if you notice, market structure looks kind of similar to what we're looking at right now. So we successfully closed under the EMA with a full candle, and then we pulled back, retested, and sold. Now, there are different areas where price does close below, and then we close back above. So that's what we're going to look for, is if we close back above with a really bullish candle, we can expect a nice continuation to the upside. However, if we close below and retest, and we don't close back above, like we see a bit of resistance. In fact, what we can do is we can replay to right here and kind of see what market structure did during that time. So here we're below the daily time frame, and we were below the 4-hour. We basically retested 4-hour EMA and sold. So that's kind of what we'll be looking for in the area that we're in at the moment. And in this area that we're in at the moment, what do we see? Well, we're below the 4-hour EMA, and we're also below the daily EMA. So that tells me that if price is unable to break and retest above this 4-hour EMA successfully, I'm not sure why that's an issue. My trading views. The wind is slamming my balcony door open and shut. Hopefully my Wi-Fi doesn't give out. That would be unfortunate. Okay, so basically what I was saying is if price doesn't manage to break and retest above this 4-hour EMA, then we'll likely just see a bearish continuation. 4-hour, there it is. A bearish continuation to the downside. So that could be a possible trade opportunity. Retest 4-hour EMA, retest previous structures to sell. I don't know how low Bitcoin will drop, but it could drop for quite a while. I mean, here we, considering the fact that at this point, price was, how do we measure this? So this was, what do we call this? $69,000. So yeah, we go from $69,000 and then we reduce that. We drop into the EMA. That right there is $20,000. And then underneath the EMA, we dropped another, geez, that's quite a lot. We dropped a lot. To the lowest point, we dropped another $28,000. So that would be almost like 70% of what price was. Now, I don't think that will drop 70% of where price is. However, if we do, then that's Bitcoin to 30,000. That's a lot of drawdown for a lot of rich people. So very unlikely to happen, but we do have some bearish indication here. Weekly time frame is bearish, daily time frame is bearish, 4-hour time frame is bearish, So how can you argue with that? You can't. One thing to consider is the monthly time frame is still bullish, so that could be something that holds price up. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll continue to watch and see. S&P closed with a weekly doji, retesting the daily EMA. From here, I would like to see bullish continuation if possible. 4-hour time frame is currently bullish, so we probably will see something like that. Ideally, we would see a break and retest above the 4-hour EMA in order to take more buys. We've also kind of created an inverted head and shoulders. There's your shoulder, head, shoulder for a continuation. NASDAQ weekly time frame is bullish. Same close on the weekly time frame with a doji. Trying to see if price has done something similar. I guess we did right here where we pushed up, had a bearish candle, doji, we pushed higher. And then we had a bunch of who knows what, So it could be one of these scenarios where we've had a higher high, we had a pullback, we've had our doji, and then we have our continuation to the upside. Happens in a few different areas. And therefore, we could potentially see that push higher. However, if we break below the EMA, there's a good chance we retest and sell. Now, I know that's not something that we want to see, considering how high price has pushed and how quickly we could drop underneath the daily EMA. But we have to explore all possibilities for what price is doing. So another thing we'll notice is that we're underneath the 4-hour EMA. So in order to take good buys, I would recommend waiting for price to be above the 4-hour EMA, similar to the way we were below here. Then we broke above, retested, and took off. Those are probably your best options for all of these pairs. Let's check out daily. So yeah, we're at a daily area of interest right now. 1, 2, 3 touches, retesting EMA, area of interest for a continuation to the upside. Now we could also be creating a head and shoulders here. We don't know that yet. So this could be your shoulder, head, potential shoulder, but until that actually happens, we cannot assume anything, right? So for right now, just looking for a continuation to the upside, targeting these highs on all 3 of these pairs. Keeping in mind some of the lower time frame EMAs. Some of the more respected ones would be probably the 1-hour, maybe the 30-minute, and then you just wait for a break, retest, and continuation. Gold is one that I am going to be interested in taking this week as well. Weekly time frame is bullish, daily time frame is bullish or bullish from right here to here. We basically have a double bottom. We've come into the double bottom, retested some of these wicks. So we have this kind of an area of interest right here. And price has basically retested this area of interest. Now, we have broken below the 4-hour EMA and below the 2-hour EMA. So ideally, in order to take some proper buys, we would be taking buys above the 2-hour EMA, retest buy, because we could easily retest and sell underneath the 2-hour EMA, similar to the way we did here. Retested, sold, retested, sold, retested, sold, broke above, retested, bought. So gold, I would like to see a continuation with the weekly and the daily timeframes, which are bullish. 4-hour is currently bearish. So we had the higher high, shift the structure, bearish, pullback, continuation to the downside. So we are bearish on the 4-hour time frame on gold. Dollar index, currently still bearish. Daily daily time frame is bullish. 4-hour time frame is currently bullish as well. However, we are currently below the 4-hour EMA. So to take buys, we'd have to wait for a break above, retest buy. And to take sells, you just wait for a bearish continuation from here. You currently have two time frames that are bearish. Your 4-hour, no, you don't have to. You have two time frames that are bullish. So it would be better to take buys. However, if price does shift bearish here, then you could probably easily take some sells. Okay, now let's get started on some of these other pairs. The Forex pairs. CAD CHF weekly time frame. Wait a minute. Where's my TCT? All right, that's weird. That's very odd. I didn't uninstall it. All right, weekly time frame is bullish. Oh, sorry. CAD CHF. Bearish, pullback. We're currently on the way to the lower low on the weekly time frame. Now we did reach that structure, we just never closed below it. So this week we might have a pullback to continue to sell, and that's exactly what I expect to happen. Now we do have this rejection candle, which we have seen in the past right here. Rejection candle, and then we've had this huge push to the upside. So that is something to be aware of. We've technically already reached our profit target on the weekly and the daily timeframes. So as of right now, the best option would be to wait for price to pull back into the area of interest, which is previous structure, EMA, all of that good stuff. Pull back into area of interest to sell. Is it going to happen this week? Probably not. GBP CAD. This one is something that I'm interested in. Weekly time frame has reached the weekly EMA. Bro. Weekly time frame has reached the weekly EMA. Price has reacted from it. Daily time frame has created a head and shoulders pattern on the daily time frame. Did that happen to you too, Artur? Did you lose your TCT or no? Okay, so here we have basically price has shifted above. Oh, you don't have it? Okay. Price shifted above, pulled back into the EMA. So from here, I do expect continuation to the upside. Yeah. So basically, at this point, we have a double bottom or a triple bottom. Price is pushing up. And from here, we should see a pullback to have a continuation. 4 hour time frame is bullish. 30-minute time frame is bullish. Yeah, so just lower time frame, basically break and retest right here. Pullback continuation, maybe a deeper pullback, basically retesting this area here, retesting the 30-minute EMA to have that bullish push. AUD CAD, also similar to the fact that we have reached our weekly profit target and our daily profit target. We haven't closed below this lower low, but we have seen a lot of pullbacks and rejections in and around this area. So we could see a pullback into the area of interest, into previous structure, into the EMA in order to sell. So now we're in this type of a situation, right? Before we took this trade, so when we were taking this trade, price was still trading in or around this area of interest. We hadn't broken through it necessarily. We were above it, then we were in it, and now we have finally broken through the area of interest. Okay. Once price pulls back into the area of interest and gives us proper confirmation, then we can take a similar trade to this and hold it basically in a similar manner as well. So AUD CAD could potentially still give us an opportunity, maybe this week, maybe next week, to take a good trade. Maybe retesting the 4 hour EMA or slightly breaking above it in order to continue to sell. Let's see, daily area of interest. So this would be our daily area of interest. We have a bunch of structure points in here, and our last reaction from the EMA was also inside of this area. So 4 hour EMA right here. Once price reaches this, then we could consider taking our sells. Even the market structure, you see how we pushed down very aggressively, and then we had this huge bullish engulfing 4 hour candle. What do you see here? Same exact huge bullish engulfing candle. So after this, after we get the pullback, after we get this consolidation and continuation candle, you can just hop in on the way down and you should be okay, right? All right, this will be one that I'm interested in. I don't know how long it'll take, potentially another day or two. Could happen pretty quickly on the 4 hour time frame. It really only takes 3 to 4. So yeah, probably tomorrow sometime, maybe New York session, or after that, maybe during London session on Tuesday night. So we will see. GBP NZD weekly time frame is bullish, daily time frame is bearish. We're still above this EMA. 4 hour time frame is currently still bullish. I'm not too interested in this one. Price tends to get quite choppy in some areas. However, if you were going to be trading this, you would be taking buys because your weekly and 4 hour time frames are in sync. However, if your 4 hour time frame does go bearish underneath this area of interest and retest it, then you could potentially take sells. Okay. Euro CAD weekly time frame is bearish, daily time frame is bullish. We have retested the EMA and had that continuation as we discussed. At the current moment, we're basically retesting this head and shoulders pattern. So we have your inverted head and shoulders right here, shoulder, head, shoulder, retest of the neckline, and continuation. You also have a daily area of interest right here. So this is your daily area of interest. You have 1, 2, 3 structure points. 4-hour time frame pulled back. 4-hour time frame is currently bullish. And from here, you could probably take some buys. 30-minute time frame, you just wait for a break and retest, or the 1 hour, whichever you prefer. 1-hour time frame is currently still bullish, so you could potentially take a trade like this, stop loss underneath these wicks, and then targeting your daily structure gives you a 1 to 5. Yeah, a 1 to 5. So not a bad trade overall. I would just wait for price to establish that it is finished pulling back and that it will have a continuation from where we are. I will watch this one as well. Now, GBP CAD and Euro CAD are very similar in terms of structure and price action. So the fact that we're looking for buys on both of them is a good thing. Euro USD. Euro USD weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame has broken above the EMA. Now we have retested the EMA. Now we are still bearish on the daily time frame. However, I do think that we will just continue to push higher. Unless we properly break and retest underneath this EMA, I won't be interested in sells. I will continue to look for buys as long as that market structure is bullish on 2 time frames, which it is. This will be similar to EuroCAD, not identical, but very similar. So if EuroCAD will go bullish, Euro USD will also follow, which means that the dollar index will most likely continue to fall. Now, if for some reason we end up with a bearish engulfing candle here on the daily time frame, rejecting this EMA, similar to the way we did right here, bearish engulfing, we just wait for the pullback and then the continuation, and we can sell, because at that point the 4-hour time frame will be bearish, will be underneath the EMA, and that pullback will give us an opportunity to sell. If not, then price will likely just continue making those higher high, pull back higher high, pull back higher high. And then next thing you know, your daily time frame is bullish and you have a higher high on the weekly time frame. Okay. USD CAD. USD CAD weekly time frame is bullish. Now we did have this rejection candle last week and then this pullback candle. Daily time frame is bullish. We had a reaction from the area of interest. 4-hour time frame had a shift of structure. Now we're bullish on the 4-hour time frame. We have created a higher high on the 4-hour. So you have your pullback, higher high, another pullback. At this point, we're just waiting for price to break and retest above the head and shoulders pattern, which you have right here. Shoulder, head, shoulder, pullback, continuation. So that break and retest is all you're really looking for in order to take this trade. Another CAD pair, which is looking like it's going to continue bullish. Euro AUD, bullish on the weekly time frame, daily time frame, has had a pullback, push, pullback. I think we're starting to shift above the daily EMA. We have shifted above the 4-hour EMA. Looks like price did exactly what I had marked up right here. I don't think we're going to get the sells. I think that the buys will be in control from now on. This one looks like it's setting up for a nice continuation to the upside. However, we also seem to be setting up with a head and shoulders pattern right here. Shoulder, head, shoulder, break, retest, sell. Both of those are potential for, yeah, I can see that. Both of those have potential to continue to the downside or the upside, depending on what price is going to do. Now, if we were going to sell, I feel like we would have done so right here. Break, retest to sell. You see, we have a head and shoulders. And why wouldn't we have sold here, right? Just a thought. But yeah, we'll see what happens there. I am inclined to think that price is going to buy. We have 2 time frames in sync to buy. If you're going to look for sells, which I don't know if you should, if you're going to be looking for sells, then wait for your 4-hour time frame to shift bearish, which will confirm that 1, you're below the EMA, 2, you're bearish, you have 2 time frames in sync. Therefore, it would take a lot more for price. It would take a lot more price action for the buys to happen if you're all the way down here. So next is AUD CAD. AUD CAD on the weekly time frame is bearish. Daily time frame is bearish still. 4-hour time frame is currently bearish as well. We're moving sideways here, so I'm not interested in this pair. GJ, weekly time frame is bullish. We've created a higher high on the weekly. Daily time frame is bullish. We're waiting for that higher high to happen. 4-hour time frame is currently bullish as well. So we had a higher high right here, pullback, lower high, lower low. We broke through this structure and then we engulfed instantly, going bullish again. This bearish if the structure was simply in place for a retest of the 4-hour EMA. So from here, I think price will probably just retest a lower time frame EMA and then continue to the upside. I think that is the best option for price action. We have 3 time frames in sync to buy. We just don't have much of an area of interest. This is the best we have. This is 1, 2, 3 structure points right there. I guess you could call that a daily area of interest. But yeah, I highly doubt price will return to this area of interest before we have a continuation. Therefore, I'm not interested. Plus, we're basically at the higher high. Let's actually go over all the JPY pairs at once. Okay, USD JPY. Also almost at the higher high, but we did have a daily pullback into previous structure. Weekly time frame is bullish, daily time frame is bullish, 4-hour time frame is currently bearish. We did retest the EMA. We are at this 4-hour area of interest. But considering the fact that we're at the higher high, I'm not interested in this pair. You guys can. This is a nice pullback for a potential continuation to the upside. CHF JPY at a higher high, not interested. Not interested. We're at the higher high. If you want to take counter trend trades, this could be the first candle that signifies the beginning of a pullback, potentially into these previous structures. Um, However, considering the fact, so yeah, your 4 hour time frame did just shift bearish on CHF JPY. You had a higher high, higher or lower low. Now you wait for your lower high, next lower low, and you're good to go. Here, same thing. You've had your shift to structure. You had your higher low, higher high, shift to structure. This is your higher low or lower high, lower low. You're waiting for your next lower high for your next lower low. Um, Weekly time frame CAD JPY, we're at a higher high. Daily time frame at a higher high, or technically on the way back. I don't know why that's still active. 4 hour time frame is currently bearish as well. Nope, currently bullish. So we did have the lower low, shift the structure, and now we're bullish. So there's a lot of different opinions on different market structures on these JPY pairs. So I'm just going to stay away from them until something better sets up. This one definitely staying away from it. NZD JPY, we're moving sideways. Not a huge fan of that. So yeah, no JPY pairs for me until further notice. Daily time frame on Euro NZD has shifted bearish. We had our higher high, shift the structure. Weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame is bearish. 4 hour time frame is currently still bullish. We are retesting 4 hour EMA. So from here, price could easily have a continuation. However, I'm not too interested because we don't have much of an area of interest anywhere in the area. So unless you want to consider this an area of interest, which it has 1, 2, potentially 3 market structures, that is up to you. I'm not going to mess with it. GBP AUD weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame has had the shift of structure, the pullback, and is now trying to have a continuation. We are doing something similar to GBP CAD on GBP AUD. Looks almost the same. Now price has broken above the EMA, is trying to retest the EMA to buy. If you're not sure about it, then wait for, honestly, what I would wait for is just a break above these equal highs. As soon as price breaks above the equal highs, you can probably take the trade, stop loss below these wicks. Something like this, stop loss right there. That is a huge stop loss, 170. Yeah, forget I said that. That makes 0 cents to take. Now, let's say if price did something like this, pull back into the equal highs, like on the 30-minute time frame, then you could probably take a trade with a much with a much tighter stop loss, maybe 40 pips or so. But I'm not going to be interested in that. I'm just going to wait for GBP CAD, which to me is a bit simpler to trade. We have our trend lines, we have our channel that we're trading inside of, we have our weekly EMA, we have our daily shift to structure, we have our 4 hour shift to structure, we have our 4 hour EMA that we're trading above now. So things are lining up on GBP CAD a little bit better than on GBP AUD, at least in my opinion. Although we do have similar market structure in terms of the daily shift to structure and the shift right here. What we don't really have is the weekly EMA, since we broke below the weekly EMA here. Just not too ideal on that one. Euro CHF, we broke through the weekly profit target, daily profit target. In fact, we managed to close bearish on the daily time frame. Well, not bearish, but with a lower low. So we broke below this structure point. We closed below this structure point. At this point, we're just waiting for a daily pullback, just like on the other CHF pairs. Yeah. Next is the 4 hour time frame. 4 hour time frame seems to be having that reaction to the upside as well. We have not shifted bullish on the 4 hour time frame just yet, although we are getting ready to do so. Realistically, here we could see a wick pullback into the EMA and then a bearish candle continuation. That could be as simple as it is, or we could be waiting for a couple of weeks to have a pullback and then have the continuation after that. As of right now, not interested since we are at a lower low and we are far away from our area of interest. Same thing here. Same thing here. GBP at a lower low. Same exact thing. We're basically waiting for a pullback, except for here, we don't have any area of interest. We kind of just have empty space. We do have a daily area of interest like right here, but we've already used it. We have already used it. Price is quite far away from it. If we do manage to pull back into that area of interest, then we'll consider maybe taking a trade. In fact, you could go as far as to say this entire area is an area of interest. Because realistically it is, because you have previous structure here, you have your area of interest structure points up there, previous structure here. Anything inside of this area could count as your area of interest. If you want to make it tighter, you just go from the top of this structure point to the bottom of this one. And then that right there is your tight little area of interest where you have 1, 2, 3 structure points, 4, maybe 5 if you count this, and a few other wicks. But yeah. Let's go over the other CHF pairs side by side. USD CHF. Weekly time frame is still bullish. Daily time frame has shifted bearish, so that's good news for us in order to take sells. Unfortunately, we were unable to capitalize off of those sells simply because our market structures were not lining up. As of right now, I would expect a pullback into the EMA. We have somewhat of an area of interest here. We can move this out of the way. We don't need it all the way up there anymore. And then this is your new area of interest where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, few wicks, 5 more wicks, 5 structure points there. Just like that. Next is NZD CHF. This is previous structure, but it's not an area of interest. In fact, we don't really have much of an area of interest in this pair other than this and that. So this could be considered 1, 2, 3 structure points right there. If price did pull back like this, then it would be nice because we would be retesting the daily EMA. However, this is going to be the first area that price will need to break through in order to get to that next area of interest. Here we have daily previous structure. We have 4-hour EMA. So there's a few things that price needs to conquer before we can hit this next area of interest. In fact, it would probably look similar to this where we have bullish market structure. We managed to shift above, retest buy, start to move sideways more than upwards. And then eventually we break below, retest, sell, happens multiple times. Very bullish. We move sideways, break below, retest, sell, retest, sell. So same exact thing there. Probably going to be what ends up happening. Next is NZD USD. NZD USD having that weekly pullback as expected. Daily time frame, we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days into the pullback. At this point, we might see a continuation happening at any time in order to see the continuation happening. However, we will need to see price actually shift structure, break below the EMA, retest, sell. I will be looking at the NZD or the USD pairs here a little bit more closely. Yeah, so you can already see how price is reacting on AUD USD, where we have this rejection candlestick. Price tries to push lower. We were unable. Now, since we are still above this EMA here, we're bearish. We're bearish on the 4-hour at the moment, but we're still above the 4-hour EMA. If we can shift below, retest, sell, then that would be a different story. But since we have not, we won't be taking this trade. We will keep an eye on it just in case. Similar to NZD USD is AUD USD. We've already gone over the CHF pairs. Euro GBP weekly time frame is at a higher high. Bullish daily time frame is having a pullback, but we are still at the high point. 4-hour time frame is currently still bullish, but it looks like we might shift bearish soon. We have a bunch of previous structures. We have EMA in this area. So it wouldn't be surprising to see a wick to the downside and then a push to the upside following that. Something like that. I don't know. That, or we'll get a deeper pullback, but we don't have much of an area of interest other than the one all the way down here. So therefore, I am not interested. GBP USD having that daily pullback, 4-hour time frame, has shifted above, retesting the daily or the 4-hour EMA. That's why I'm not really interested in AUD USD, although we have shifted bearish on the 4-hour. We tried to shift below the EMA until we properly have like a lower low pullback, where market structure is basically struggling to stay afloat and looks like it's about to start sinking. On other USD pairs, that isn't the case. You see how here we're pretty consistently making our higher highs on the 4-hour time frame. Same with GBP USD. There's not too much selling happening. However, if we do sell, like say down to here, break below some of these lows, some of these wicks, then retest, at that point, I would be interested in taking the sells. Oops. Break, retest to sell. Similar with the other USD pairs. NZD CAD is going to be similar to NZD USD. We have had or are having the weekly pullback. Daily time frame has had the pullback, also reaching our daily area of interest. 4-hour time frame is now above the EMA and is currently still bearish on the 4-hour time frame. At this point, we will be looking for price action to tell us what it wants to do. Ideally, proper break, retest to sell would give us the answers we are looking for. But if that's the case, then it will be the case on NZD USD as well. So NZD CAD, NZD USD going to be moving side by side there as well. Euro GBP weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame is, did we already go over this one? Yeah, we did. Okay, never mind. And last but not least is AUD NZD, which had a weekly rejection last week. Daily time frame seems to be having a pullback. 4-hour time frame has shifted below the EMA. From here, we'll probably see more selling happening. Until we get to the daily previous structures, I won't be interested in taking the trade. However, once price does reach this daily area of interest, then you could probably expect price to kind of move sideways for a little while. Once we reach it, we should see a bullish market structure above the EMA, retest, engulfing, and then that's where you take your trade. So realistically, it would probably look like this, where you move sideways, then you break above the EMA, retest, buy, and then your EMA basically goes like this. and then price goes like that. So same exact thing right here should happen right here. All right. Let's go ahead and order our pairs by what we think is going to happen first. USD CAD on the 4-hour time frame should be having the continuation soon. Now, one thing to consider is that this is a USD pair, and since these other ones are USD pairs as well, they should all move. Okay, so wow, I just noticed this. All of our pairs are either CAD pairs or USD pairs for this week, except for AUDCHF. And that is pretty normal. That is pretty normal because that means that our analysis is consistent across all of the pairs. As you can see, the pairs that have USD second are the ones that are selling, and then the pairs that have CAD second are the ones that are buying, except for NZD CAD, which should, be similar to NZD USD. Anyways, let's go ahead and see what we're waiting for. So here it's a 4-hour break and retest to buy. At this point, it is I guess a 30-minute break and retest to buy. So that would go above. GBP CAD, very similar, 30-minute break and retest to buy. AUDCHF 4-hour time frame, waiting for that pullback to happen. 4-hour time frame is currently bullish. So yeah, waiting for that pullback to happen to sell. This is a daily pullback, so this will go to the bottom of the list. GBP USD is going to be a 4-hour break and retest. AUD USD 4-hour break and retest. NZD CAD is a 4-hour. Should be a 2-hour break and retest on NZD CAD actually. 2-hour seems much cleaner. Yeah. Okay, so it'll be a 2-hour break and retest, which will put it above this. But yeah, 4-hour break and retest, 4-hour break and retest, 4-hour break and retest, 4-hour break and retest, 2-hour break and retest. And then Euro CAD, 30-minute break and retest, and GBP CAD, 30-minute break and retest. That is basically everything for today, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys enjoyed the call, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow as well. You guys are amazing. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.